call to order the regular meeting of the Dayton City Council of June 10. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion and second for the agenda.
So moved.
Go ahead, Steph.
Oh, I'll second it. Thanks, Scott.
Any changes, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Should we, do we have to normally let people know that, like, Dave's gone? Or
Nope.
did Amy? Okay.
Nope. We'll have to do that item, Mayor, if he's promoting or participating remotely, then we have to read him in.
Yep.
So otherwise, no.
Okay. Consent, I need a motion and a second.
Did you want to pull that thing out, Scott?
Yeah, I want to talk about it.
Which,
I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
It's
Aye.
Aye.
I just want to have a small little discussion about I.
I'm gonna pull I out and put it after open forum?
After open forum?
Yeah.
Okay.
So consent is with that amendment. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Let's see. I'm not going to beat anybody up. I'm wondering, and I see the two estimates. I get it. I guess my beef is, and maybe it ain't a beef, but I took about 15, 20 minutes and searched for some playgrounds online.
Well,
Oh, we're going to talk about that one.
Are you on I?
Yeah.
I'm on I.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
We're still no
just
consent.
Discuss the rest of them.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
nothing on anything else.
I don't have anything?
I'm good.
Nothing?
I
Okay.
didn't think so.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Now, let's do open forum first. Anybody here for open forum? Limited to 3 minutes for non-agenda items. State your name and address. No council action will be taken. Items will be referred back to staff.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Lee Hallquist. I live at 11471 Fernbrook Lane. Just back here with some of the same concerns. Biggest concern I've got right now is traffic. They're not stopping coming out of Rush Creek, and today they're not stopping coming out of 113th for Fernbrook. And, if you're going to make it a roundabout, make it a roundabout, tear the signs down, whatever you're going to do, but it's just getting risky to get down there. I've talked to the mayor, I've talked to a couple of people on the council, and I've talked to the police chief about it, and I think something's got to be done out there, because I don't think at least no one was killed should be our safety standard there. There was a bad accident there a couple of weeks ago, and they're going to be more frequent. So, anyway, that was that. I hope you take that into consideration whenever. Drainage is still an issue at my house. My neighbors basically can't cut their ditches because sometimes there's up to 4 inches of water out there, and I think that should be addressed before we go much further with it, with all the other digging. So, and speaking of, I don't know what the hours are out there, but they were out there working this morning with their earth moving equipment at 6:40, and I think 6:40 is a little unreasonable for me because they're still working at 7 o'clock. It basically has denied me my backyard, and it's not making me a happy camper here. So, I think it should be addressed. And again, on the water, you guys can't guarantee a fix for the problem, and neither can Tom, so I think something needs to be addressed there. The earth moving equipment, yeah. And that's probably all I got to complain about, but I want to make sure my complaints are heard.
Lee, just as an example, just so moving forward, give the police a call, even though it seems like it's not an emergency. Give the police a call, and they can go out and.
How about if I call you?
Sure, you can most certainly call me, but
6:30 in the morning or whatever. I don't know.
You can call me as well if you'd like, but the police are able to go out there and then enforce the
Yeah.
city code, which is 7 to 7.
I'm not really optimistic that that's going to happen. I mean, you can't enforce the traffic laws here, so.
Well, it certainly won't if you don't call.
Huh?
It certainly won't if you don't call.
Yeah. So it
We
just
haven't-
seems, it doesn't seem like it's a 911 emergency call. It's just a really irritating kind of call
But
because,
it's documented.
yeah, Okay.
911 is the best way to call.
about a noise complaint and the, okay.
Yep. Just say it's a non-emergent, you call 911, say it's a non-emergency, and they'll take all your information for a noise complaint.
Okay.
Best way to call is 911.
Like I say, I had a school bus pull out in front of me one day, and nobody seems to care about that. It's on the traffic side of it. It's not funny out there, and you guys are getting ready to approve a motion that's going to triple the traffic on that road, and there needs to be some kind of traffic control out there before you do that. Okay?
We have been working with the county, correct, on that? So, and there are some ideas, correct? So, we are,
Yeah. Ideas, that's like the concept of
I
a plan to me.
know.
I don't know, I hate to seem cynical here.
but we're not just not doing nothing, I guess. We are,
Okay.
steps are, we are,
Like
I
I
know
say-
government works at the speed of a glacier, but
Yeah.
glaciers can wear down mountains, right? So, inch by
Sure.
inch, year by year.
There's some stop signs that we've been
That,
told.
yeah,
are
you
going
mentioned
in.
that, and I appreciate that. Like I say, I know that if I don't speak up, nothing happens. And, again, people are, on the Dayton pages, they're saying, well, at least no one was killed. Well, that's
Not the standard.
not really the standard I'm aiming for here, especially because I live on that road. But anyway, that's what I have. I hope I didn't offend anybody, but
No,
All right, thanks.
thank you.
have a fun evening.
Anybody online?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have nobody in online.
Okay, we will close open forum then. On to item I, approval playground equipment area 21.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Do you want us to go over slides at all, or?
No, I guess my only point is, and I know we've worked with this outfit before, and I know staff likes working with them. I just personally think that this particular playground is a lot of money for what we're getting. And there's a lot more playground for about 40 grand. The swing set is about 4 at this other outfit.
You want me to go to the pictures? We do have them on this.
Yep, I know we do.
'Cause
They're in the packet anyway.
I'm on. Here we go. This is the one, game time, right?
I mean, we can have something similar for this, but with a bigger, that little play area right there is probably 15 grand.
Is it ADA compliant?
Yep. I mean, for $40,000, you can have one 3 times that size, and we'll still be $40,000 under this budget. I guess is my point. I mean,
Is it sticking with game time you're looking at, or are you looking at a different
it's
vendor?
a different vendor.
Okay. Is it one of the other ones that we?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. I just sent out that layout, that oval.
This one.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was hoping to get the quote tonight. I did talk to the guy, and he didn't give me the written formal quote, but we're looking at probably for that same thing, because the people want the zip line, and they want the little swing, and the play area. The play area, I'm guessing, is about 20 by 24. It isn't, is a circle. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the $30,000 play area would even fit in there. Maybe it's too big.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
Who are
not
you
sure
dealing
yet.
with? Which company?
Pro Playground.
Pro Playground.
Pro Playground.
Why didn't they
It's just-
submit a bid?
Because it's in another state. They don't know nothing about us.
So
I
how
was
much?
just surfing online, and that's who I found. So I just started looking it out. I've got 5 or 6 different pictures of their playgrounds, and they're from 30 to 40 grand. And this whole package is $125 installed.
Mm-hmm.
Did that include installation and freight if they're in another state?
Yep. We can have similar to that whole deal for like $65,000, $70,000. But if you stick with,
So which one you want to go? You want to go back, forward?
no, that's fine. It really doesn't matter. I'm just, does it matter if I give you that contact and you look at a couple things? I mean, the park department just approved this thing
Yeah.
last week.
And I would like to try and get this approved tonight if we can and get this moving, because we need to get it installed this year. And there's going to be, I've been told there's going to be some increase in costs, for tariff costs and all that good stuff. So I will certainly look at the other company if you send me the details, but I would like to get this one in.
Oh, we'll put a playground in there without a doubt.
Yeah.
And maybe cap it at 125.
Yeah, so that would be
I'm
my,
just saying that we can get it done.
so that would be my comment to council, is that I would like to have some sort of, if you're gonna approve something, give us a cap dollar amount of here's what you're looking to do. And then we either do this and or some other
Whatever. Yeah.
plan from
Okay.
Pro Playground or whatever
can
it
live
is.
with that.
But that way we at least have an approval tonight, so that way city staff can keep
Yeah.
moving forward on a day-to-day basis. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's either, I think it's Game Time or Pro Playground is one we would use, and then it's gonna be capped at X number of dollars.
So I'll make a motion to approve it at 100 and whatever that bid is.
120.
125, 794.01.
Low quote. Can I ask a question?
You certainly can.
If I get a second, then you can.
Second.
All right, now you can.
Sorry. Is this one of those circumstances where we pick the lowest bid? No, or is it just they could have picked the other
This is kind of an
ones?
informal thing.
That's what this is. I mean, there was two bids.
We did. pick
No,
the
but
lowest
and
bid,
is that why you picked this playground? Was because it was the lowest bid?
Yeah, that's generally what we do. We go for the lowest bid on these, and it also included all the elements that the neighbourhood were looking for.
Okay.
And so
In the future, if we'd like to do something differently, we can do best value method, which doesn't have to be pick the lowest bidder. It's based on a value that you see is best, and that's typically how I've seen communities do playgrounds. But because we're always limited by budget dollars in Dayton, it ends up always being lowest bidder process. And it's the way we bid out the items. It's what we put in the documents when we bid them out. It says that it's, if we do best value, then a company may come in with something that's a little more expensive or whatever because they feel like that's a better value than would be something on their base. But how we send our bid documents out is based on what method we're going to use, best value or lowest bidder.
Okay. That's exactly why I'm asking, because these parks in my mind are very different from each other. Like looking at like which one my son would run over and want to play with like right now, and like wouldn't be able to hold him back. Like they're very different. I mean, the prices are very different. I was just wondering if this is one of those circumstances where you have to go with the lowest bid, or is that just the one that we picked because it fit within the budget? I mean, obviously the budget matters. You know what I'm asking.
yeah.
Okay.
I think currently, based on our bid document, we would go with the lowest bidder
Because that's what we said we were doing.
because that's what we're doing. Yeah.
In the future, if we don't, we'd have to say that up front.
Yes, in
So
our
they
bid
knew that.
document, we would put out and say best value method is going to be used on this product. So that way, they might come back, and I'll use Game Time as an example, or Pro Playground, they might come back with two different designs of,
Right.
here's our lower bid one, and here's something that's, $25,000 more, but it gives you,
Right.
X number of dollars more.
Can we
things.
give them a cap and say like,
You never want to give them a number.
Nope, never want to give them a number. So it's
so they
always.
could give us some ridiculous that there's no way in heck we could reject them all, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the
Problem,
best.
the issue that we have on this particular bid is the other outfit. I forget the name of it now.
Midwest.
They didn't even follow this plan.
Midwest Playscapes.
All three plans are different.
Yeah.
And that's possibly why the numbers are different. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, usually what you do is you give them the area that you have allocated for it, and they have safety rules and safety areas that they got to abide by, and pretty much they can put in what they want. And a lot of times they'll try and put in a lot more stuff, but it might not be the stuff. Like a zip line takes up a lot of space.
yep,
So, but that's what a requirement of this
that's
playground
what they
was.
wanted.
Well, I get it. We have one too in our park, and it's great. Thank you, Marty.
In the future, which we won't have a park for a little while now, in the future, if we want to do something differently, then we just got to make sure that's noted by council before we send out those bid documents.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll forward that information in the morning.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. On to staff consultant council update. Zach?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of council. Only have one update tonight. Just to let everybody know that we have 2 openings on our Parks Commission that we'll be posting on our website. I think we posted it today or maybe yesterday. We will contact the current commission members that are, their term is being completed and ask if they want to reapply, but I'm likely looking to reappoint Parks Commission members hopefully in July.
So there's 2 up.
There is
They
2
didn't
up.
resign.
They did not resign. They just, their term is over, so we will say you can most certainly reapply. And then the council will decide, based on the timing of when we have those, it's about a month typically, so it'd be probably the second meeting in July. Being as the Parks Commission sounds like their meeting is canceled in July, it won't be a effect on their term, obviously with the city and missing a meeting right away. But.
One of them did say at the meeting last week that he was not going to.
Okay.
What's going on with the planning opening?
We've had zero, we have one applicant. Okay.
And
Was
when's
that
close?
today or?
No.
So there should be a second one coming in today.
So that will be appointed at the next meeting in June. So that one we posted at the end of May. Hopefully we can get that approved or appointed in the second June meeting.
Yes.
With the council so that they can attend the first July meeting. This
And-
always sneaks up on staff every single year. I don't know why it's so sneaky, but it just does.
The mid-year expiration.
That's all I got. Thank you.
On the,
Yep.
and I don't know if it's for you or, so, cause planning commission also will have a spot,
Planning Commission has one opening currently.
one
yes.
opening, but there's another one, but isn't there another one who's expiring or whose term is up? Maybe I'm jumping the gun on this.
No, so the commissioner who resigned, his term was up a month later.
Yeah.
After his resignation.
Yes, but is there a second one
No.
whose term is up? Okay.
Just one.
Just
Okay.
one opening.
So it happened to be the one person whose term was up is the
Okay.
one who resigned a month ago.
I just thought there was always 2 and 2, but no, okay.
And the EDA still has one, right?
EDA still has one, yes. So there are commission openings. Please apply if you have any interest.
Sorry for jumping
No.
ahead of the,
Do we have anything as far as Rush Creek that is solidified or
Rush Creek. Say that one more time. Rush Creek.
discussions with the county on Rush Creek?
So we have so we have not had a rock solid plan. We do know that they are going to install stop signs at Rush Creek Parkway in Fernbrook, so that is an update for residents and council. I know I let the council know we have confirmed that they are going to do it. We are not confirmed on the timeline yet, is the issue that we have. We have suggested to do it during the same time that they have Fernbrook closed, because Fernbrook will be closed here at the end of June for roughly 3 weeks-ish, somewhere in there,
Oh, when they hook
while they hook up Maple Grove Parkway to Fernbrook and then remove the south leg of Fernbrook that connects up to 81. So
That's closed right now. Why?
it is closed currently due to Excel Energy's work that is being done in the right-of-way, so they're adding some sort of, what do they call it, culvert work? Conduit, there you go.
But it's not going to be closed
It's
for the
just
next 3
northbound
weeks.
Fernbrook is
Just
closed
north,
closer to
yes.
81.
Right.
And then once,
This will be a full closure further to the north.
this will be full closure of Fernbrook.
Okay.
well, and it makes sense to change traffic all at the same time.
That was our suggestion to the county. Doesn't mean that the county will listen to us again, but our suggestion is if it's going to be closed already, it would be a good time to install new signs so that they are all at a new time. And then Fernbrook essentially from where they connect to Maple Grove Parkway to 81 will be severed. So you will not be able to go north on Fernbrook anymore from 81. You'll have to go to Maple Grove Parkway. So
Oh, okay.
just so that everyone is aware.
Well, that will change my daily commute.
You will go to Maple Grove Parkway instead of by the high school. Yes.
Yeah. It's about 1,000 feet.
Yep. Not much. But that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Marty?
Just a couple of things. The wellhead treatment plant is still moving along. They're working on roof insulation. They're going to be doing interior painting with walls, joists, and the tanks through this week and next week. And they're doing some prep work for the masons to return and do the outside brickwork. Parks, the irrigation project is going through. They're moving along one park at a time. They've done some work in Hayden Hills. They're nearly complete in Stevens. River Hills, they're working in there. Public Works is working at Iron Gardens to make it more mower friendly and do some re-landscaping in there. Once we're complete with that, they'll be doing the irrigation stuff in there. The biggest hold-up we have at the moment is electric companies getting power to the wells and stuff. So that's what I'm holding on those at the moment. And that's all I have.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. We interviewed 7 candidates. We moved 4 forward, and then we actually have kind of a late entry, so we'll see if that one is able to move forward here I'll be doing physical agility with them tomorrow.
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. Just a reminder, I sent out an email July 16th for the training for city council and some staff from 1 to 3. Keep on reminding you, but I'll need a final number come roughly June 28th for that day so we can set up a schedule. Our staff has worked with the City of Corcoran and City of Rogers Police Departments on active shooter training. They just attended, all officers from our agency attended last Tuesday and Thursday. It was 4 hours of walkthrough and then 4 hours of active training, scenario-based training, so that was completed.
Thank you. Regarding the A3 district, we did get some feedback from the Met Council, so we will be bringing forward an amendment to both the comp plan and the ordinance.
Has Amy looked at that? 'Cause I looked at it and
Mayor
it's still
Council.
there.
And she has looked at it, but she has not provided any guidance or anything back. She said she's free to receive it. We sent it to her today.
Today.
So
Okay.
she has not, I would say, dug into it yet.
No updates here.
Okay. Scott?
I'm signed up. Let's see. Outside of that, I don't really have anything though.
Signed up for, Paul's thing?
Yeah, the shooter, active
Well,
shooter.
what is that, by the way?
What?
Well, the
Active shooter training?
That the officers went through or that you guys are going to go through?
You said we're gonna,
It'll be basically shoot, no shoot scenarios. So you'll be shooting into you'll have a scenario, you'll have suspects, and you'll have to make a decision whether to shoot or not shoot the suspect.
okay.
And then we'll incorporate at the final one an officer-involved shooting, where one of you will go through the whole gamut of an officer-involved shooting.
You don't get the target on me. Sorry.
Just kidding.
I know. It's a big disappointment, I'm sure.
Well, depending on where we are in the budget conversation.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I'm well aware. It was applicable to tonight. I know. Yeah.
I just wanted to shout out to our police department and some of our amazing residents in the North Metro, or in the north of Dayton. Some equines got out this morning. 2 mules, a donkey, and a horse. But everyone was safely contained and got back to their proper places. So I just, everyone did an amazing job. And so I just wanted to shout out to the police force, but also some of our community members who stepped up to help in that. It was it was 6 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Getting your door pounded on and being like, "Hey, your horse is missing," was a little jarring, but I'm glad everyone got safely home. But you guys did a great job, so shout out to that. So, it might be coming up later, but Thursday is our family fun night, correct? So yes. Excited about that. So just wanted to, in case I didn't see it on the agenda, so I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there. I hope everyone can come out and join that night. That's it for me.
I got nothing.
I do have something.
Go ahead.
So last Wednesday, I attended North Memorial's data walk.
Oh yeah, I wanted to do that.
It was really great.
Okay.
So it was in Maple Grove, and it was a couple different council members from like the area, and then a bunch of mental health, and then just regular health, and just a bunch of people getting together. So it's just exploring like the regional health data and then helping guide the community health planning. So it was really interesting. They kind of highlighted 4 different areas. So like infant death, mental health, chronic illness, and then 911 calls versus utilizing a primary care provider. So those are like the key things that they keep seeing. And so it was getting feedback and just kind of bouncing ideas off and helping to guide their community plan. So it was really great. I really enjoyed it. And if they have another one, I would definitely go again.
I will do it if they have it.
Honestly, it was really great to see the data, and then they even had, how often our residents are using like their hospitals. So they're our primary ambulance service, but we don't fall in their top. Most people go to Mercy instead, so we've got dual, so it's North Memorial is our primary, and then Alina Health is our secondary, but we have more of our North Memorial bringing people to Mercy, then we do have utilizing their hospitals, and part of that is that Mercy has that really great cardiac unit. They've got different units, and Maple Grove is a lot of births. But it was really interesting to see that Dayton was literally blacked out on the map. Like, it was like showing all the areas, and then Dayton was like cut out of the circle. So yeah, it was really interesting, and I learned a lot. So it was great. Nice to advocate for what we're seeing in our community, and just again learning a whole lot. So.
And as I'm going to add, last Thursday I met with Kevin Anderson to talk about Fernbrook. It seems like things are moving forward, and he was optimistic about a roundabout at Rush Creek. So, and then last Friday, we talked to what Danny to do at the car show, and he suggested, and I pushed the button a little bit, about getting some funding for some amenities at Stevens Park. So we'll see what happens there. See how much hot air is involved.
All right. On to action items. L.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This isn't an item that I was expecting to have to bring to you guys, but unfortunately, here we are. We've in the staff report, it outlines pretty much what the situation is. The 2 fire suppression tanks that we have in the public workshop were designed and built for that specific purpose. They met all the requirements and inspections at that time. Since then, we have had one of the flanges on one of the, let me see if I can find it, on the left, that is a leaking flange. I've been trying to see if we can get that actually replaced, but the company who manufacture these, the fabricators, won't guarantee the tank. If they actually have to cut the tank, they need to install it at the time of fabrication, especially as it's a fire relief tank. This has been getting steadily worse over a period of time. And the second one is a major leak that happened earlier this year. The tank has just split, and I have no idea how that split. What we are talking about is this pipe work. You can see is pretty rigid in there. There's no room for the tank to flex at all.
How is there not an expansion joint somewhere along the line there? It's a metal pipe.
Exactly.
And it was put in per their recommendation, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not,
We just got sold a bill of goods, that's all.
but,
it's
I mean,
to it.
it's to their, would be to, it seems odd that there wasn't some sort of expansion mechanism in place there per their design. I mean, it's their tank, you'd think they'd want to protect it from pipes.
I would have expected that would have been one of the common work practices for this type of tank.
And, I mean, that area stays pretty constant, right, temperature-wise?
In the summer, it can get pretty elevated in there.
But steel,
I mean, yeah, I mean, in the winter, it's never below 60 degrees in there.
I think I
Is
looked
that a
up and it
steel
was,
tank or a poly tank?
Poly.
That's what I thought.
wow.
$70,000, it's been there for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
No big deal, $15,000 a year.
I'll make
A
a
horrible.
note of
Did
that.
that come
That's a horrible ROI, but that sounds great. We'll use that later.
If it was my tank,
some
I'd
nice
give
sand?
15,000 a year?
We didn't know any better when we
15,000
asked
a year.
them for their opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem that we have. We don't know any better, and we just take somebody's word for it.
Are we using the
What are
same
we gonna do
company to
about it?
fix it?
We gotta
There's
Yeah,
we
replace
use a
it.
different company for the pipe work, but the tanks are supplied by the same company because they're the major manufacturer of those tanks in the country. Would you believe?
So they basically have a monopoly and they can sell crap and no one has a choice.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, because you can go with a different company, but the costs of that different company are astronomical difference. So
I just, yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling the problem is both are manufacturing defects, but 6 of one, it doesn't.
we tried. We did try that avenue first. It wasn't like we came up to the
It's like any other warranty, or even past a warranty. It's,
Yeah.
no, you misused the product. It's just,
Yeah,
that's how that works.
I mean, to Scott's point, I don't have the expertise to know fire suppression systems that well. You go with a general contractor and a fire design company
Yeah,
who
but this is just
supply this.
equipment, it's not.
It's
'Cause
no
it's
different
easy.
than going with Black and Beach. They're the same thing. We're relying on them to give us the right stuff.
The one that's got a seam split, did you just drain that and leave it?
Yeah, it's drained at the moment. So we don't have a full fire suppression system
Which is
operational there. at
Why
the
we're,
moment.
Or it would be.
which is why we're back here asking for it.
Yeah, no, I get it, and we're stuck with it, but it's just, this is like that well thing, it's like,
Yeah.
it's irritating.
Yeah.
You drilled down too far and you're charging us.
Yeah.
You made a crappy tank and now you're making us buy a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the size of this? How many gallons?
They're 10,000 gallons.
10,000 gallons.
So there's quite a lot of pressure inside there as well. So
10 times more than the historic village.
And
We don't have any choice.
are those tanks pressurized?
no,
It's just gravity.
just gravity.
Well then,
Put them on the ceiling?
no, why? This
Why did
seems
it
kind of
stop?
weird, but why would you go with the same company for a tank that holds 10,000 gallons? Just because they call themselves a fire suppression company? Can't you use, there's got to be, I mean, even septic tanks, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are designed specifically for fire suppression.
I know, but I don't know what that means. If it's just gravity, I don't know why it matters, but I don't have a problem with it. The whole thing kind of irritates. It's just irritating.
Well, it's not your fault. It's like,
Yeah, this is a crappy tank. And we got two crappy tanks, and now we're gonna put in two more
Two more, in
tanks.
5 years we'll do it again.
Hopefully they're
Well,
not
hopefully
gonna
the flex piping gives it a bit of movement.
You know what, I think, I did the math on that. I think over 100 degrees, you only have 1/3 of an inch per 100 feet or something like that.
Okay.
So I don't think it's flexing of the,
Okay.
and even so, if they thought there was a problem, you'd think somewhere down there they would put in an expansion. Like, so, I think the bottom line is it's crappy tanks and they're making excuses, so, whatever, I'm good.
You want me to do a Google search for another tank?
It's not, it looked like it wasn't just the tank, right? It's the labor to put it in and all that.
No, it's the quote includes putting the tanks in, taking the old ones out, disposing of them, changing the pipe work, and adding some extra support on the pipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, we're going with the MI, whatever it is.
MBI, yeah.
Any second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in
Can we
favor-
write an angry Google review of that?
Please, whatever you want.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. On to item M.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Looking to approve the personnel policy update. Appreciate the comments today related to when you make a Word document into PDF, it takes away all the red coloring, and I apologize about that. I didn't realize that until, got an email and said, hey, there's no red coloring, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So the main reason why is we're just going to continue to look at policies and procedures as much as possible. The personal policy is always the first one we look at every single year to make sure we're following state legislation and following all of the new changes with laws. There was obviously a new law, drug and alcohol portion that we wanted to make sure was added. This isn't any different than any other community. We didn't have a alcohol portion of the policy before. We've always been a drug-free workplace, but not an alcohol portion. We've done more than our personal policy has allowed us to do, and just historically, because we've known that we want to make sure our insurance is good and such. So, like testing people if an accident happens, we have to test. Well, that wasn't technically in our policy before, even though we did it, we weren't really supposed to. So, trying to match what our operations are to our policy is always good. And the last one.
Policies need to match.
Yep, that's why we're updating the policy tonight. And then the second part of that update is leave of absences. We don't have a lot of these anyways, but for whatever reason that may be, we should always want to take care of our employees when they're taking a leave of absence. And if that means that they need to disconnect from work because they're going to take care of a family member or they're taking care of themselves, we should support that and emphasize that taking the time to give your stuff in is the most important thing, so that you can focus on yourself while you're gone. So those are the two reasons and changes for the personal policy. This was written by Amy Schmidt, the drug and alcohol policy, and that's based on other communities that Campbell Knutson works with, so. I'm here to stand for any questions.
Boring thing to read. I'll admit it.
Motion and a second.
Can I ask a question?
Before or after the motion?
Before the motion.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, I got really, you were like moving ahead, hold on. I have an issue with, you two?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I have a question about the cannabis piece of this.
Yep.
And the cannabis testing.
Okay.
So if you move through all of this and you go through all the boring reading, down at the bottom, it talks about, what are they considered? My mind is blank, I apologize. Peace officers, firefighters, and again, that's not the only reason, but I have a question about how much we're supposed to mandate what people do on their time off. So in there it says no use, even when you're not on duty or responding or you're not working. So my question is like, I know that we have to say something in here, but I guess I have somewhat of an issue with mandating what people do on their free time when they're not on.
But you're talking about, see, reading through that, you almost need Amy in some of these cases, but are you talking about if testing shows something later?
Yeah, so it says that they're not prohibited even off duty to partake in any, so you could not go to a wedding, or you couldn't go down to the liquor store, pick up some alcohol in one aisle and a THC drink in the next aisle, go home, I'm working 3 days from now. You could not do that. It would be never can you have any of those beverages, is how this is written, because they're considered safety, no.
It's a public safety employee thing, yeah, and they're dictated or mandated by federal law and not state law.
Yeah, well, they're not federal employees though,
They're
so
not.
at the state statute says that if you don't have to make that at the city level, you have to say that it can be used off duty, however, it is prohibited during duty hours or when you're responding. So I looked up the state statute, so I just personally, I'd like clarification on that because, again, I understand that we should all be able to say, don't show up to work after you've been drinking, don't show up to work after you've, taken any sort of impaired substance, which is legal in our state. But I guess I have an issue with telling people blanketly that you cannot do this on your vacation, or you can't, go to a wedding and have a drink that's completely legal, that's THC, because we're going to test you 3 weeks from now, and then we're going to punish you or terminate you because you tested positive at any point, when we can't say, did you drink that this morning? Did you have that 3 weeks ago? Because there's no way to know, like alcohol, where I can tell you had a drink 5 minutes ago if you test.
Yep.
So that's just my point of view, is I don't feel like you should tell somebody what they can and cannot do with their free time if it's legal. And I understand, again, that the city's trying to protect themselves from, you're showing up to let's say a fire call, because that's my world.
It's are you impacted when you're on the duty?
Yeah,
on
and
the
that's,
job.
so on every other employee in the city, it is and I would not disagree with you in saying that we don't want to control what people do on their free time. That was one of the things that Amy Benting and I went back and forth on. We both agreed that it's important that we don't tell people what to do on their free time. That is their own free time. They can do what they like. However, with public safety employees is where the only line is drawn, and it's not, I'm going to say, real clear on direction from the state level on specifically public safety employees, because if you're off for a week, for example, for vacation, and you come back and something happens during your shift as a public safety employee, now you're making the city liable, and there's no way for us to tell that you did it on vacation or did it this morning or whatever it is.
Right. Correct.
And that's where it gets really not clear direction is given by the state level.
Do we not have, maybe this.
So I'm going to look at the two chiefs because I don't
Yeah.
know their line of duties nearly as well as they do. So
Is this, and Paul, I think I got to believe you have the same issue when somebody's driving and it's a stoned problem instead of a drunk problem. At what point does a measurement matter?
As long as we can show that they were under the influence, as
And
far
that-
as their driving abilities. So it's a whole situation of, I have probable cause to stop them because we believe they're under the influence. So they're
Yep.
weaving, they're
Yeah.
speeding up, slowing down. We administer roadside tests to determine, and then if we determine that they're under the influence, we can take them in for testing. No matter what level of THC comes back, we can still charge them with under the influence. But then it depends with the courts, kind of what they determine as what.
So
is
at
under the influence.
that point, it's kind of like a distracted driving kind of a thing. It's what I say versus what you say in court. There's no measurement to quantify the impact.
There is, but it with THC and cannabis, it's a lot different than normal drugs.
Right.
So the state has a certain level, but it's not solidified level. So they will tend to look at it and say, yep, you're above this amount of THC in your system, so you should be under the influence at this level. But we can prove, as long as we can prove that we believe they were under the influence of either alcohol, you could be at an 06, I could still charge you with under the influence of alcohol just by your driving abilities. So if you're driving recklessly, you hit something, we can still charge you for under the influence. It's not driving while intoxicated, it's while you're under the influence of a controlled substance. For us, for police officers and CDL drivers, we have to follow the federal, and if we carry firearms, we have to, you can't use it off duty either.
I know the firearms thing is, how is it related to driving? So you said CDL, but I mean, most of you guys don't have a CDL, right? So,
I guess, Mayor, members of council, the issue that we get into is liability. Because we don't know on THC, we have no idea, it can be in your system for 30 days. There's no way to measure it at the moment. So if we have an injury on duty or we hurt somebody else and they're drug tested, there's potential for that liability to the city saying that they're under the influence.
right, but alcohol, you'd have the same.
Correct, for
Liability.
alcohol as well. Yep, you would. Hence, we don't allow, regardless, police or fire, alcohol within a certain period of time of coming to work.
How long does that?
Alcohol goes through your system a lot quicker.
That's a totally different
quicker.
ballgame.
It is.
Right, because you can tell.
Right,
And
yeah.
I know you had a drink within whatever
Right.
because
It's in
we're,
your blood. Yeah.
right.
And that would be similar if you look at any other, also, I'll take public safety as a section here, because that's kind of the section we're talking about. Everybody else, I think you could tell if somebody was under the influence of cannabis. You probably could tell that if they were in work, sitting in an office back here or something, I probably could tell that they were doing that. So that's where it's, again, not quite as, if they're not under the influence and they did it on the weekend, it's not going to affect anything of their work level. So that's
No, but
different
if
here.
for some other reason, let's say there was an accident.
Yep.
Are there mandatory measurements done when there are accidents?
If-
Mandatory checks?
For police, any injury, accident, or fatality, we require a drug and alcohol test.
Right.
It's always been
So
in our
that's where it
policy
comes
manual.
in.
That's where it comes into place, yeah. And that's especially
And
for the
right
liability
now,
portion.
the level for THC is 0. If there's anything above that, it trips. Whereas with alcohol, it's some level up.
Yep.
And until the world has a better grip on THC testing,
And once
we're
it
saying
changes
0.
at a federal level, then we'll have to come back and obviously change our policies and procedures and
Well-
processes. But I just don't know what else to provide for guidance, unfortunately. I wish-
Why does the federal level apply? I mean, it makes sense for firearms.
Yep.
Federally, it's firearms and CDLs.
In CDLs,
Correct.
but yeah, the firemen seem kind of an odd.
Yeah, so that would leave out the firemen, from my understanding. I don't know. Again, I don't know. This is not my background. I'm not HR.
What is our next bullet point? What do they say about it? I'm a little leery of the firemen applying this to
To firefighters,
firefighters, yeah.
because they don't carry firearms, and they don't have the CDL license.
Yeah, but if from the liability perspective, if we go to a scene and don't treat somebody properly, and then we get sued, and we have somebody tested, and again, I'm using on these scenarios of liability perspective,
Yeah.
because in a city hall employee, they're not gonna do that. We're not providing any public safety, life-saving abilities.
Okay.
Again, that's a liability perspective, and if the council doesn't wanna do that, that's certainly fine. We can adjust personnel policy, but that's the liability I'm
I
mentioning.
would say
But
that
you
if you,
wouldn't get tested, just say he goes to a fire and all of a sudden somebody got hurt during the fire. It might be 3 or 4 or 5 days before somebody gets tested.
Yep. And you got it in your system for 30 days, and you went on vacation last week, which again, a person could care less what you do, and not trying to dictate on what you do in your
Right.
free time. But yeah, I'd say there was a fire when you came back from your vacation again, and you get tested in 14 days after that. It's still, and I don't know THC real well, but it sounds like it's still in your system for 30 days. So that's why
Well, that's a generic.
again, it's a generic
Yeah.
thing. It could be
depends
14
on your,
days total.
yeah,
I don't
your
know.
size, your
But
metabolism.
again, that's the reason for the policy.
I hear what you're saying, though. I mean, I agree. What you do in your own time is your own deal.
Except we're saying it's not for a
Right.
fireman.
This is saying it's not. And I would think
Yep.
that you're, if somebody shows up to get on a truck and you can smell them or you notice, I would think that somebody would say something to you. It's the same thing if you're out and somebody has a beer in their backyard and they show up to the station. If you're the officer, that's there, or even anybody, you look at that person and you go, I can smell you, you're staying here.
You're not
Like,
going.
I think not that it should be all on each other, but if somebody shows up, like, you have every right to tell them to get off the truck.
Yeah.
And I guess until testing gets better and you can say that, yeah, you had a drink, whatever, it's legal in your garage, that had cannabis or whatever, and then you drove to the station after, like, I think that's a more of an issue of, I don't want to say integrity, but that's another kind of issue I think you need to be talking about. I just think this is too deep into telling someone that they never, ever, ever can, and then if you randomly test them because you feel like you need to, and then you can terminate them based on that, like, I don't know, that just doesn't sit right with me, personally. Especially when you don't know when they did it or how, like, so that's my personal opinion, and
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I believe that all public safety staff should be included in the ordinance for liability reasons. When it comes to termination over an employee using, there's going to be so many other things that you're going to look at, including the amount of THC that is in with the test. You're going to have to talk with attorneys, stuff like that, before you would be able to recommend termination just under that fact. My recommendation would be able to keep them in there just for the liability reasons, because if something did happen and you didn't test them, you're more liable than if you do test them and they do have THC. You can work that out with attorneys, HR, stuff like that. You a lot of times would, say an officer you found out was under the influence. A lot of times you're going to probably send them to treatment if it's their first offense prior to making that termination charge. Unfortunately, we're regulated by Post, which is our state licensing board. So if we're caught with alcohol in our system or over the legal limit, Post can sanction our license for a period of time. So we're regulated under that. I don't know if our 1 or 2, any of their licenses are affected by that, but we're affected by Post. I think it's for liability reason. I think you leave it in there. And then if something does happen, you have it. I don't know, does this have random in it?
It does, yep.
Oh,
You could-
Oh, I'm not a fan of random.
yeah. Just,
There's no
I mean,
probable
that-
cause there whatsoever.
That would be, you take that out and you just put
I
in,
think it's listed.
there's a
It's
limit.
list. It's pre-employment, post-accident, random, reasonable suspicion, return to work, and
Our
follow-up
goal is
testing.
not to do random testing, but
Well, then,
based on, but there was a reason that Amy Schmidt had suggested keeping random in there, was that if it was needed, then you could utilize it, but
I've seen it used that way, and it was a weapon.
It's always a weapon.
It's always a weapon.
Yeah.
it's not intended to
I
be a
lost
weapon.
one of my best technicians due to this thing, so I'm not a fan, but I understand the need. He was 3 days out, and he got randomly pulled. So, one of our best technicians.
If you want to remove random in the wording, that's fine. I'm not here to stand on the ground of random, but
For the chiefs, if we removed random but kept everything else, pre-employment, post-accident, reasonable suspicion, return to work and follow-up testing, and just took the random out, would that still be, would that satisfy?
What's the return to work mean?
To come back
From a
to
leave.
work.
Like if you, but like if
But
you
from
had
what?
Say an officer was injured in the line of duty and we have to medically clear them to come back to work, so it's part of their medical clearance.
What about other leaves of absences? Is that also covered?
there was a
Return
definition
duty
of what return
requiring,
to
I'm
work-
reading it right now, the performance of the safety.
My perspective, if you're on a leave of absence, we are going to do drug testing when you come back, no different if you are a new employee.
Which would be a new addition, because we haven't done it in the past.
Just feedback, Mayor, members of council, that we would be one of the only cities that I'm aware of that would allow firefighters to consume THC. So I would highly vote against it, or not vote, or voice my concern, I guess, in that capacity from a liability issue.
Well, I think part of this is, as a society is learning too, we do tolerate, very low levels of things, such as alcohol the night before, even though there's likely alcohol still in your blood. I don't know. I've always had a distaste for the way we treat, even though I'll take a beer over anything, but it bothers me the way we differentiate between these two things. I don't know. Okay, where are we at?
The random, I think everybody agrees that comes out.
it's not going to be the hill I die on, so that's fine. Just trying to get something updated so we can keep moving forward. So
I understand why it was the way it was, and our city attorney put this
Yep.
together based on their city. So I didn't love it, but I was okay with it as is. I'm also supportive of taking the random out because I have seen that weaponized on more than one occasion. The return to work testing does specify after engaging in conduct prohibited by federal law or this policy concerning alcohol or controlled substance. So it's not return to work just from I went on vacation. It's return to work because you
Just
went on
certain
leave because you did something. Whether that's what the definition of return to work testing is that I see on page 118 / page 40. Yeah.
I'm a no matter what you say, so it's
Okay.
fine. That's
But
okay.
just the question
No,
was, what
I-
does return to work mean? And according to this policy, the return to work testing is triggered because you were put on leave because you broke some federal law and or you broke this policy on substance abuse. It's not
So
just
not
you went on vacation.
volunteer, like not voluntary leaves, like FMLA,
No,
not.
no.
I took a leave because
I
my
broke
wife
my
had a baby.
Yeah. Or I had my hip replaced and my doctor no. So
Correct.
I mean that's according to this policy.
Is that the correct understanding?
yeah, I'm trying to. Amy Schmidt. I'm trying to understand. So it says, after engaging in conduct prohibited by federal law or prohibited by this policy, I would, instead of the or, I just put prohibited by this policy concerning alcohol or controlled substances. I don't know if it's clear on when return to work really is, based on my understanding of that.
I'm unclear as well.
So I can't give you a yes, this is what this means, because I don't read it one way or the other.
Okay. And I read it as only because it says return to work testing, and then it says the city shall ensure before driver returns function after engaging in conduct prohibited by federal law or this policy. So I don't see how you could, if I went on vacation or leave, right? Like I had a baby, my wife had a baby, whatever. I don't see how this could be triggered.
Yeah, I did not ask this area from Amy Schmidt what her clarification was, so.
We get clarification. I mean, and then we can also get Dave's input, but I don't know. Should we?
I mean,
I don't have a problem with that.
With that meaning, like table it.
Table it.
Do you?
Paul, is there a THC level? Is there, just like alcohol, there's a level? Is THC? I never got caught, so.
There is no really state mandated level
So
that
it's either
they
yes or no right
go
now.
off of.
Pass, fail.
Does testing return a value, or
Correct.
is it simply there's?
It will give you a value of how much THC or cannabis is in your system.
Okay.
It really depends. It has to be a higher number with, and it could be a lower number, but you have to have other factors as far as your driving conduct, other items like that. It follows the same thing that we do with alcohol. You have to have the probable cause that somebody's under the influence of alcohol. But then we get a state mandated number that says it's at this number.
Right.
You're, no matter what, you can go to jail for it. Where THC is different levels.
Yeah. They don't have a number, right? That's
So why don't we come up with a number?
well.
I wouldn't suggest trying to come up with a number with THC until the state comes up with a number.
Yeah.
I would just do it for the liability reasons. And like I said, it's not going to be the only thing that gets somebody terminated. There's going to be a lot of talking with attorneys and HR if this ever came about that somebody tested positive. Not saying you couldn't fire somebody, I just wouldn't recommend, as far as like an officer, for me to terminate him just based on that. There's union that we'd have to deal with, stuff like that. So, like I said, in any circumstance when you terminate somebody, you're going to want to make sure you have everything documented and in the file.
Okay. Well, to move on to a different question, in there it says leave can be extended by the manager. To me, you gotta have some sort of, I mean, I could cry you a river and try to get 2 months off.
You're not gonna get paid though once you're out.
It's unpaid. And at some point, we need somebody here, so, I mean, you could say unpaid leave all day long, but if I need some people to go back here to snowplow, I'm gonna say,
Right.
unfortunately, I need you to come back, and if you don't come back, I gotta get
Right.
rid of you, so then I can get somebody in here that
Put
wants to
some
work.
kind of a limit on there.
Yep. There's a lot of things in this personal policy that are up to the city administrator, and so the city council's gotta have the trust of the city, trust the city administrators making the right
Well, you
decisions.
better have it in the policy though, or otherwise,
You mean
You might-
some outside number?
yeah, some outside
overall.
number, you might, like 10 days or 7 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is.
There's just so many different scenarios for you to pick that
Right.
if you just start picking and choosing of, we're only gonna allow this and then only gonna do 10 days for this, but that's what happens if somebody broke their femur and they can't come back to work and we're gonna say, well, 10 days is over,
Well, then
man.
you're gonna-
Sucks, you're out of here.
You're gonna have a medical leave though.
But that's on top of the medical leave. Say you have 3 months and you haven't recovered yet because you're heal slowly with your bone and you need another couple months, and I say, oh, you get 10 days based on the policy.
Well, and there can be complications. My sister
bad.
just had, she tore a tendon and had surgery, and they can't figure out, but it's not healing. And she's well past her leave. Now she's in unpaid leave.
Yep.
And they can't figure out why it's not getting better. Like, there's just, I don't want to put a hard number on that. There's just too many complications, particularly for medical things. So, for the record, I was okay with this as is. I totally respect I don't like the idea of telling people what they can do in their off time, but I also, it is about liability. It is, at the end of the day, it's about liability. It is. And so I didn't like it, but I was going to be okay with it. I get what you're saying, and if we can take random out, that does make me feel better, because then you're not getting tested unless there's a genuine cause. But I think for the THC thing, it's probably going to wind up being, I don't think that's a decision for our city to make. That's a decision the state has to make. And chances are it's going to be some sort of termination union lawsuit that's just going to force the issue, quite frankly. And hopefully it's not one of us that goes that route. But I support what the chiefs think this is the right thing to do. Our attorney thinks this is the right thing to do, and so I'm going to support the experts in the room on this one. So, but if I'm in the minority, I'm in the minority, and we can table it. So,
You want to go with it or table it? I'm kind of leaning towards tabling it. Just, again, that also gets Dave's input and we get this other thing clarified. I don't know.
I understand the chief's stance on it. It's a liability deal on the THC thing. I don't. I guess realistically, the my issue that I talked about, you would know if you got dead weight or not, and then you just get rid of them.
It's easier said than done.
We have unions here still, so
Yep.
there's that. But.
Yeah, let's table it. I'll make a motion to table it.
All right. Need a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
nay.
3-1 to table it until, so we'll have Amy clarify that thing.
It'll be on the next meeting.
It'll be on the next meeting.
Yep.
And you want her to clarify the return to work testing part?
It sounds like,
That's
yeah,
it.
that's.
So it sounds like, from my perspective, is the random's gone, which is, again, not the hill I'm going to die on. And then the other one is just clarifying the return to work policy. But otherwise, that sounds like the only questions we had.
That's what I'm asking. For the
That's,
people who
yep,
want
I
to
want to make sure that I understand it too, so I can make sure that Amy's
Yep.
prepared for the next meeting. Okay.
Okay, on to item N, approval of Abdo HR.
Mayor, members of council, looking to approve an HR contract so that we are able to utilize some dollars. We worked with Abdo in the past. They have done a good job for us and helped us out most certainly with HR in the past, and I'm trying to do a more formal agreement with them. By doing a more formal agreement, I'm looking at doing the least number, or the whatever least amount per month it was.
Core compliance package.
There you go, the core compliance package. That gives us the most flexibility of dollars that are able to be utilized, so we can use those hours for anything else that we're looking for, but essentially what it comes down to is we just need some HR help of what to do in certain situations that we're looking for assistance on.
Get us jump-started.
By getting the most number of hours involved, we are able to blend the rate as best as possible, so that means we get the best bang for our buck. So.
Right.
And this is for 25, right?
This is for 25 only, yes. We have enough money in the budget overall with insurance costs and with professional services. They're able to cover it without going over budget, so.
So it doesn't hit the budget at all?
It will affect
Well,
the
there's
budget.
no increase.
There's no increase to the budget for 25. No. We're just able to reutilize
There
dollars
won't be
in
any
different
spare
spots.
dollars to carry.
And in 26s, we're going to talk about this again.
You got it.
Because-
Well, for now, it's gonna be, this will be the in-place contract for 25. That's the number of hours used for 25, and then in 26, we'll either have to figure out if we're gonna increase that cost, as in increase the contract if we need more hours, depending on how much we use it, or we're gonna go with the HR manager position. Yes.
So your budget's just not going to cut it, so.
And this is
Conversations, yeah.
It's just the way it is.
this is the only one we're seeing because you used them earlier this year.
We've used them multiple times over the last several years.
Okay.
And they are probably I don't know if I'd say best known, but they're most well-known company around that does this kind of work. There's not a lot of HR consultants around. But again, without getting just a one-person show, this is a firm.
Okay.
Call this a trial run, and we'll go from there.
All right, need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion. Do you need me to specify the core compliance package level?
Yeah, that'd be
I make a motion to approve the core compliance package level.
Need a second?
That's the 35 I'm talking about.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll second it. Just for 25.
Just for 25.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. All those opposed say no.
Thank you.
Motion carries 4-0. And if there are no objections, we are adjourned. We're adjourned.
Have a great
So
night.
you got your gavel up.